So yesterday we were discussing about atomic masses, and I told you that atomic mass of different elements, we had seen that how we have assigned them relative atomic masses. This we have discussed yesterday. Now after assigning them relative atomic masses, as hydrogen is assigned relative atomic mass 1 AMU, or you can call it 1 gram also when you are taking it in grams. Okay, now I told that this was the concept when the isotopes were not known, that we were not knowing isotopes also exist. But when isotopes came into existence, so once again we will talk about isotopes. For example, isotopes of hydrogen are 1H1, 1H2 and 1H3. These are three isotopes. Now that means this is their atomic number written is 1. Okay, and this is atomic mass. So atomic mass. Those who came just, please write your name so that I can take attendance later. So atomic mass of these is 1, then 2 and then 3. That means what? Atomic number is 1, that means proton number and electron number for both of them is 1. But atomic mass, when we talk about, that means what? When we talk about atomic mass, that is the sum of neutron plus proton. These two things are added. Okay. Now when atomic mass of 1H1 is 1, that means the neutron number for 1H1 is 0. There is no neutron in 1H1. When we talk about 1H2, so the neutron number for 1H2 is 1. That is why neutron plus proton, 1 neutron, 1 proton, it is 2. That is why mass we are writing 2. 1H3, that means what? Atomic number is written 1. That means proton number is 1. And this is atomic mass. Atomic mass is neutron plus proton. So proton is 1, that means neutron are 2. So we conclude that for isotopes we can say that atomic number is same but atomic masses are different of the same element. Okay, so when such conditions arise, when isotopes are there, in that case we cannot take the atomic mass of any one of the atom. We have to take average of all. That is why when isotopes exist, we have not to take direct atomic mass of any one of it, but instead of it we have to take average atomic mass. Okay, so how to calculate average atomic mass? Now we will see this. Okay, so calculation of average atomic mass. Okay. Now simply when we find out average for any substance, suppose 5 readings we are taking and average we have to find out, what we will do? We will do the total of all 5 and then we will divide it by 5. Here in case of average atomic mass, little change is there, that we will see what change is there. Suppose we talk about chlorine. Okay, the one of the chlorine is having atomic mass 35. Another isotope of chlorine, atomic number 17, is having atomic mass 37. Okay, now what we will do, and while finding out the average atomic mass of isotopes, the abundance of these isotopes is also taken into consideration, means how much amount is available in nature, that also is very important. So when we see, we From the data we come to know that 35 atomic mass is present in 3 and 37 atomic mass is present in 1. That is, the ratio of the two is 3:1. In the ratio they are present in 3:1 ratio. Okay, so ratios are also essential to know when we are ratio or percentage, we can say, are essential to know when we have to find atomic mass. So now we can say that the chlorine with atomic mass 35 and chlorine with atomic mass 37 are available in the nature in the ratio 3:1. Now calculation of average atomic mass. Okay, what we have to do, 35 is the atomic mass of chlorine, one isotope, multiplied by its ratio, availability ratio in nature, plus atomic mass of this next isotope multiplied by its natural abundance, and then divide it by the total ratio 3 plus 1. 3:1 is this, the total of the two will be taken. Okay, then it comes 105 plus 37 divided by 4, and it becomes 142 by 4. Then it comes to be 35.5 grams. That is why when you write the atomic mass of chlorine, you don't write 35, you don't write 37, you write 35.5 grams is the atomic mass of chlorine, because we have taken the average of the two isotopes atomic masses. Okay, so average is found with the help of adding the atomic masses of the two or more than two isotopes are there. In hydrogen we have seen 3 isotopes were there. So here, because chlorine has only 2, so what we are doing, we are adding the atomic masses of the two multiplied by their natural abundance ratio. That gives the average value of the atomic mass. This is one way when we know their ratio of the natural abundance. Sometimes their natural abundance can be given in percentage also. This time it is, yes, I already told, see, if question is there you need to ask, because I cannot read while teaching. Okay, related to teaching, if any question is there, why we don't do so in case of hydrogen? No, we do. In case of hydrogen also we have to do this, we do. Okay, but because again it will come according to the natural abundance. The natural abundance of the first 1H1 is too much as compared to the rest 2. That is why the final calculation of the average atomic mass actually comes to 1.008 only. That is why it appears to you that we are not doing, but we are doing in that case also. But the rest 2 isotopes are very less in natural abundance. So calculation part comes very less. Is it clear? So any question is there, please ask. Don't type it, I cannot read. Okay, so this is one method when ratios are given. Now the same because question for calculation of average atomic mass can come by giving ratios also, it can come by giving percentage also. Okay, now if percentage is given, same chlorine is here, atomic mass 35, atomic mass 37. Now percentage wise if we talk, then chlorine 35 is 75% and chlorine 37 is 25%. 3:1 means 75% and 25%. Then again procedure will remain same. Instead of ratios, now this time we have to multiply by the natural abundance percentage. So it will be again average will be 35 is the mass multiplied by its natural abundance percentage this time, not ratio. Plus 37 multiplied by 25 and divided by 75 plus 25, that is 100. Okay. Steps will remain the same, only value what we are changing is the criteria what we are using to find out their natural abundance. Previously it was ratio, this time it is percentage. So we have multiplied by the percentage and divided also by the percentage. So it will be coming 3550 upon 100. That will give 35.50 again. In grams or in AMU, 35.5 again. By any method if you do, it will always come the same, whether percentage is given or ratio is given. Okay. Now third way which can be given, one is percentage, one is ratio. Third thing which can be given is relative abundance. Okay. Now relative abundance. When percentage is 75%, that means the relative abundance as percentage is calculated in terms of 100. Okay. Same way relative abundance is calculated in terms of 1 unit. Okay. 75%, 25%, total is 100%. Means out of 100, 75 parts is this, 25 parts is this. So relative abundance when calculated, it is calculated out of 1. So when relative abundance we have to calculate, this will be 0.75%. Okay. And this will be 0.25. Don't write percent. It will be 0.75. It will be 0.25 in relative abundance. Okay. So if instead of ratio percentage is given, then we are using this data. If relative abundance is given in terms of unity, it will be 0.75 and 0.25. Again the same calculation will go, but this time the values we are going to put are 0.75 and 0.25. Now how we will know in question what is given? Whatever they are giving you, the term also they will use. If they are using the term relative abundance, that means you have to calculate out of 1. If they are writing percentage, you have to divide the value by 100. And if they are talking about ratio, then you have to divide it by the total of ratio. Okay. Then again 35.75 is its relative abundance. 0.25 is relative abundance of this one. So 35 into 0.75 plus 37 into 0.25 divided by 0.75 plus 0.25, that is equal to 1. Okay. So when you calculate it, you will see it will come 35.5 upon 1, that is again 35.5. Okay. So no matter what value of relative abundance or percentage abundance is given, every time for each element the value of atomic mass is going to come same if you calculate it by any method. Okay. So this was calculation of average atomic mass, and why we need to do it we have already discussed. Okay. Now when we have, that is why in periodic table first we said that because the real masses, actual masses of elements are too complicated to remember. They are in the powers, negative powers, because they are very small in size. So to convert them into convenient ways, we have calculated their relative masses. So the relative masses of all elements should come as whole numbers, because we have started with 1, 2, 3, 4 like that. But still many of them are having values of atomic masses in decimals. So the reason behind it is that because we have calculated the average of those atomic masses, so that averages are coming in decimal. That is why for chlorine we have 35.5, and for others also, like for due to the same reason. Okay. Now when it is a calculation of atomic masses, we have discussed about molecules also yesterday, molecules or compounds, both we had discussed yesterday. So whether we call compounds, compounds are also actually molecules. Now when we are calculating atomic masses, we also have to calculate molecular masses. Now after atomic mass, the next thing is molecular mass. Molecular mass is what? Molecular mass is the sum total of atomic masses of all the atoms present in the formula of a molecule. For example, the simplest is H2O, water. Okay. Now if we have to calculate its molecular mass, then what we will do? Hydrogen atomic mass is 1. We have 2 atoms of hydrogen used in this, so 1 into 2 plus sum total of atomic masses of each atom present in the formula of the molecule. So oxygen atom atomic mass is 16. That gives you 18 AMU. And if you want to write it in grams, you can write it as at 18 grams. Okay. Masses have been calculated simply for another. Suppose NaOH you want to calculate, the same method will be followed. Atomic mass of Na, sodium will be taken, atomic mass of O will be taken, and atomic mass of H will be taken, and we will add all of them to get the value of atomic mass of NaOH molecule or compound. Okay, sodium is 23, oxygen is 16, hydrogen is 1. It comes out to 40 grams or 40 AMU. Okay, so this is the simple way of finding molecular masses. Now, along with molecular mass term, one more term you will see in your book, that is formula mass. See, molecular mass and formula mass are same when it comes to the calculation process. Just we calculate molecular mass, the same method we can calculate formula mass. But there is some difference between the two. The term we use is different for different type of compounds, but the calculation method is same. So where we use these two terms differently, that we will see. Method is same, formula mass and molecular mass. Now in chemistry, very common thing is covalent compound and ionic compounds. Okay, now though I know you remember what are ionic and what are covalent compounds, but still little revive, we will do it. Ionic compounds are the compounds which are formed by complete donation of electrons and complete acceptance of electrons from the other. For example, if I write example of NaCl, if you remember in 10th there was example of formation of bond between NaCl and MgCl2. So NaCl, in case of Na, atomic number is 11. In chlorine, atomic number is 17. According to 11, the distribution of electrons is 2 in the first shell, 8 in the second shell and 1 in the third shell. Chlorine 17, 2 in the first shell, 8 in the second shell and 7 in the third shell. This is the electronic distribution which we have learned in class 10th. Now according to this, every element has to complete its octet in the outermost shell. If sodium loses this, so sodium will acquire Na positive, because on losing electron, see, when we talk about any atom, so this is nucleus having neutrons plus protons, and electrons are present in the shells outside. In case of sodium, 2 electrons are present in the first shell, 8 electrons are present in the second shell, and 1 electron is present in the third shell. So when it comes to losing, electrons only can be lost. Protons are not affected in this process. Proton will remain as it is inside the nucleus. Only electrons can be gained, electrons can be lost. That is why always they acquire negative charge when more electrons are coming, and they acquire positive charge when electrons are lost. So this 1 electron is lost. So Na will acquire 1 positive charge. On losing this 1 electron, now what is there? Proton number is still the same, that is 11, but electron number is now 10. Because of this reason, positive charge is 1 more than the negative, hence it acquires 1 positive charge. Okay. Similarly, because sodium is losing electron, this electron is required by chlorine, because it has 7 electrons in its outermost shell and it wants to complete its octet. So it will become 2, 8 and 8 after gaining 1 electron. So chlorine acquires negative charge after accepting electron, because now the number of electron is 1 more, so 1 negative. As many accepted, that charge we get. 2 electrons lost, 2 positive. 2 electrons gained, 2 negative charge. Like this it goes. So completely sodium has given it electron to chlorine, and chlorine has completely accepted the electron given by sodium. So such bonding is ionic bonding, and compounds are known as ionic compounds. And because of developing charges, these type of compounds have a strong attraction between the cations, positive charge, and anions. They have a strong attraction, that is called electrostatic force of attraction. Because of this reason, they have strong bonds. Not only they have strong bonds, they attract the molecules present in the surrounding also. We want to come to this, that is why we have taken all this. Surrounding molecules means what? Whenever we talk about any molecule, molecules are never present in isolation. They are always surrounded by molecules of the same type all over. Now, because of the strong attractions in case of ionic compounds, if chlorine is negative, then one, two, three, 4, 5 and 6. This chlorine, Na is having Cl. These are all NaCl molecules. Means one NaCl is surrounded by other NaCl molecules also. This is the structure of ionic compounds always, that they are never present as a single molecule. They are always surrounded. And this is known as coordination number. One chlorine ion can surround by how many positive charges from its surroundings? That is its coordination number. This is bond between one Na and one Cl. This is the bond, ionic bond. This is not bond. This is, hence you cannot isolate a single molecule of NaCl because of the attractive forces in the surroundings. Is this okay? Because of a ionic compound. Being an ionic compound, ionic bonds are strong and they cause other molecules to be attracted. Opposite is also true. Okay. If this is Na positive, so it will attract chlorine. Surrounding to this, chlorine will be there. Other NaCl molecules, means near to sodium, chlorine will be there and Na will be opposite side. Near to chlorine, Na will be there and chlorine will be opposite side. But they will be surrounded all over. Because of this reason, we cannot calculate the molecular mass of NaCl or any other ionic compound by taking it in isolation. Hence, the molecular masses of ionic compounds are known as formula mass. Okay. Only In terms of definition, it is different. When it comes to calculation, they are same. Formula mass means the molecular mass of ionic compounds is known as formula mass, not molecular mass. Though in general talking and general saying, we always use the term molecular mass, but the actual thing in terms of chemistry is that you have to say that the formula mass of NaCl is this. Now calculation is same. If I write NaCl, I will not do this that all those who were surrounding it, their mass also will be added up. No. When I have to find out formula mass, or I can say molecular mass of NaCl, I will find it the same way. So sodium 23, chlorine 35.5, then 58.5. The molecular mass of NaCl or the formula mass of NaCl is 58.5 grams only. But in terms of definition, that is different, and that difference must be known to us. Okay. So is it clear that no difference while calculation, but difference in the definition to understand? Okay. So calculation will go same. There is no difference. Okay. So this was all about molecular mass. Now next thing is percentage mass. Or mass percentage, you can say. Now if I write H2O, because we have calculated its atomic mass, molecular mass, H2O we had calculated 18 grams. This was the molecular mass of water. Now if I want to know that what is the percentage of hydrogen in water, or what is the percentage of oxygen in water, then that is known as percentage mass. What is the percentage mass out of 18 grams? What is the mass percentage of hydrogen, or what is the mass percentage of oxygen? Okay. Now suppose we have to calculate mass percent of H2 in H2O. In different molecule it will be different, but in H2O what is mass percentage of H2? Because 2 are there, that is why H2. If 1 is there, we will write H only. So of H2 in H2O. So for this what we need to do, we have to know the atomic mass or molecular mass for H2. So atomic mass of hydrogen is 1, and because there are 2 atoms, so it will be 1 into 2. That means in water, formula of water, the mass of hydrogen is 2 grams only, and the total mass is 18 grams. 1 into 2 grams. Okay. Now because this will give you only the fraction, and because we want to know the mass percentage, so this will be multiplied by 100. Means for hydrogen, if we want to find mass percentage, we have to divide the mass of hydrogen, as many atoms are there. 1 is there, so only 1. 2 are here, so 1 into 2. So mass of hydrogen divided by the total mass of the molecule, whatever molecule is there, and multiplied by 100. Okay. So it comes 11 point something, it will come in percent. In your book when you will see, there is little mistake. It is written 10 here. So do the correction in the book. Don't be confused by it. They have written 10 everywhere, whatever they are given. They have written 10 there. So you just check it. It should be 100, because definitely when we are finding out percentage, it has to be multiplied by 100. Okay. So this is mass percentage of hydrogen in water. 11.8% out of 100 is hydrogen in water. Now if mass percent of oxygen in water we have to calculate, then it will be atomic mass of oxygen, it is 16 grams divided by the total mass, that is 18 grams, multiplied by 100, because we have to calculate for 100. Okay. See, it is one of the way. Another way is subtract 11.8 from 100. You will get the direct value, or you calculate it by this method. So it will come 88 point something. Okay, percent. So that will be the percentage of oxygen in water. This is required. Why we are calculating the percentage? Because it is required in further calculation. So this is one of the steps to know. So whenever any formula is there, they are asking the mass percentage of individual atoms present in it. We will follow the same procedure. We have taken example of a simple molecule. For any molecule you can use this process. Okay.